Oh, I'm going live. You good? I'm going live, and if you sit there. Buenos dias. I like when I go to the channels and it's on zero blank. And then when you start seeing the numbers, boop, 1. So buenos dias, and good morning to those who are following us through God's word. And would you hit the like for me, please, as well? Thanks. Just had a new addition here to the prayer request log. And let's get a little bit more comfy. Why? Because we can. Check this out. One retires well when one serves the Lord. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to serve and to live at a time where we can find comfort in new toys here to continue to serve. But yes, here we are beginning a new day. A little chilly out there, breezy. Got the trash out. That was an exercise of routines that one needs to set by. And here just kind of discussing over the idea of setting a schedule and being a little bit more disciplined and responsible with the time that the Lord gives us to invest. He gives us so much time and so many resources that we take for granted simply because of the simple distractions that we get distracted by, right? I mean, squirrel everywhere. We're just full of squirrels and all sorts of zoo animals. Even some humans that are acting like zoo animals outdoors. But I'm overwhelmed how quick this liberal system has really gotten into the whole politics of things, and even schools and government and public quarters. Because now to consider that how these transvestites are actually going into elementary schools and reading kids' books to kindergartners, and they're wearing their drag queen outfits, and oh boy, I mean, I see how much time we waste, and myself included. We all fall short of what we really can do it by the end of the day. And to consider that God is merciful every morning, well, then we also realize that if he's merciful with us every morning, he gives us another day of breath. And if he gives us another day of breath, what are we using our breath for? And the other funny part that I realize is how the value system here in humanity is yet so blind. You've got watches that people make, or manufacturers make, professional watchmakers, that you can buy a watch and it can cost you as much as $3 million, and some even more expensive. And yet they waste so much time. So I guess the ideology behind that just seems so ironic, that we waste so much time on foolish things, on foolish distractions, and yet we'll buy an object that'll cost us our entire lifetime or fortune of whatever you have to spend it on a watch that you can then waste time with. So in that sense is where I can say, Lord, thank you for awakening us and have predestined us to be called, right? Because he says, I stand at the door and knock, and if you open up, he will come in and eat with you. And what does that mean, to eat with you, if not to fellowship and to interact? Because that is what we all want. And he is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. So the wonderful part of knowing that through his word, he gives us understanding. And because his language is not the language we would think, it's actually just his word. His language is love. But here we'll start off with prayer. Lord, we ask for Mel, Don, Jill, John, Seth, Devin, Leah, Dustin, Trishawn, Susie, Louise, Bobby Joe, Annie, Jerry, Mona, Ed, Rain, Chris, Matthew, and David, Jen and Keith. Lovely people, lovely couple. Blessings out to you both, and was grateful to see you, and we'll look forward to catching up again. Brandy and Rebecca, Diana and Barbara, Brenda, Ronnie, Cheryl, Chris, Cindy, Braden, and Sergio and Kenny, a visitor to Dallas, and I'm just being grateful for the ability to pray for those that are added and are requests, and the evidence will be in their lives how God is real in their lives, because that's going to be our new motto. How real is God in your life today? So anyway, we're Jacob, Joseph, right? Now we're at Jacob's about old and dying, and his son Joseph just got sold into slavery. His brothers wanted to kill him, but no, they just sold him into slavery. So we're going to finish up 34, 35, and 36. Then Jacob tore his clothes, put sackcloth around his waist, and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and daughters tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. No, he said, I will go down to Sheol to my son, mourning. And his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and the captain of the guard. 38. At that time, Judah left his brothers and settled near an Adullamite named Hira. There, Judah saw the daughter of a Canaanite named Shua. He took her as a wife and slept with her. She conceived and gave birth to a son, and he named him or Er. She conceived again, gave birth to a son, and named him Onan. She gave birth to another son and named him Shelah. It was at Chazib that she gave birth to him. Judah got a wife for Er, his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. Now, Judah's firstborn, was evil in the Lord's sight, and the Lord put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, sleep with your brother's wife, perform your duty as her brother-in-law, and produce offspring for your brother. How about that for a custom? But Onan knew that the offspring would not be his. So, whenever he slept with his brother's wife, he released his semen on the ground so that he would not produce offspring for his brother. How evil is that, huh? Just want to go use his brother's wife. What he did was evil in the Lord's sight, so he put him to death also. Then Judah said to his daughter-in-law, Tamar, remain a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah grows up. For he thought he might die too, like his brother. So Tamar went to live in her father's house. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. When Judah had finished mourning, he and his friend Hira, the Adullamite, went up to Timnah to the sheep shearers. Tamar was told, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. So she took off her widow's clothes, veiled her face, covered herself, and sat at the entrance to Enaim, which is on the way to Timnah. For she saw that, though Shelah had grown up, she had not been given to him as a wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face. This gets crazy. He went over to her and said, come, let's sleep with you. for he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. She said, "What will you give me for sleeping with me?" "I will send you a young goat from my flock," he replied. But she said, "Only if you leave something with me until you send it." "What should I give you?" he asked. She answered, "Your signet ring, your cord, and the staff in your hand." So he gave them to her and slept with her, and she got pregnant by him. She got up and left, then removed her veil and put her widow's clothes back on. When Judah sent the young goat by his friend, the Adullamite, in order to get back the items he had left with a woman, he could not find her. He asked the men of the place, "Where is the cult prostitute who was beside the road at Enaim?" "There has been no cult prostitute here," they answered. So the Adullamite returned to Judah, saying, "I couldn't find her. And furthermore, the men of the place said, 'There has been no cult prostitute here.'" 23. Judah replied, "Let her keep the items for herself. Otherwise, we will become a laughing stock. After all, I did send this young goat, but you couldn't find her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Your daughter-in-law has been acting like a prostitute, and now she is pregnant. Bring her out." Judah said, "Let her be burned to death." As she was being brought out, she sent her father-in-law this message: "I am pregnant by the man to whom these items belong. And she added, "Examine them. Whose signet ring, cord, and staff are these?" Judah recognized them and said, "She is more than right than I, since I did not give her to my son Shelah, and he did not know her intimately again. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twins in her womb. As she was giving birth, one of them put out his hand, and the midwife took it and tied a scarlet thread around it, announcing, 'This one came out first.' But then he pulled back his hand, and his brother came out." How does that happen? I don't know. There's a whole lot of room in there, I guess. But then he pulled back his hand, and his brother came out. Then she said, "You have broken out first." So he was named Perez. Then his brother, who had the scarlet thread tied to his hand, came out and was named Zerah. 39. Now Joseph had been taken to Egypt. An Egyptian named Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, and the captain of the guard bought him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man, sitting in the household of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made everything he did successful, Joseph found favor in his master's sight and became his personal attendant. Potiphar also put him in charge of his household and placed all that he owned under his authority. Ring a bell with Moses and Egypt? From the time that he put him in charge of his household and all that he owned, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house because of Joseph. The Lord's blessing was on all that he owned in his house and in his fields. 6. He left all that he owned under Joseph's authority. He did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. After some time, his master's wife looked longingly at Joseph and said, "Hey, come on over and spend the night. Sleep with me." But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not concern himself with anything in his house, and he has put all that he owns under my authority. No one in this house is greater than I am. He has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. So how could I do such a great evil and sin against God?" Although she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her. No. Now, one day, he went into the house to do his work, and none of the household servants was there. She grabbed him by his garment and said, "Sleep with me!" But leaving his garment in her hand, he escaped and ran outside. Gladly, they didn't have scissors back then. When she realized that he had left his garment with her and had run outside, she called the household servants. "Look! Ah!" she said to them. "My husband brought a Hebrew man to us to make fun of us. He came to me so he could sleep with me, and I screamed as loud as I could. When he heard me screaming for help, he left his garment with me and ran outside." Oh yeah, women can be evil. 16. She put Joseph's garment beside her until his master came home. Then she told him the same story. "The Hebrew slave you brought to us came to me to make fun of me. But when I screamed for help, he left his garment with me and ran outside." When his master heard this story, his wife told him, "These are the things your slave did to me." He was furious and had him thrown into prison where the king's prisoners were confined. So Joseph was there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and extended kindness to him. He granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. The warden put all the prisoners who were in the prison under Joseph's authority, and he was responsible for everything that was done there. Making sure soap, toilet paper, everything's all set. 23. The warden did not bother with anything under Joseph's authority because the Lord was with him, and the Lord made everything that he did successful. I kind of feel that way sometimes. 40. After this, the king of Egypt's cupbearer and his baker offended their master, the king of Egypt. Pharaoh was angry with his two officers, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, and put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, in the prison where Joseph was confined. The captain of the guard assigned Joseph to them, and he became their personal attendant, and they were in custody for some time. The cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison, each had a dream. Both had a dream on the same night, and each dream had its own meaning. When Joseph came to them in the morning, he saw they looked distraught. So he asked Pharaoh's officers who were in custody with him in his master's house, "Why are your faces sad today?" "We had dreams," they said to him, "but there is no one to interpret them." Then Joseph said to them, "Don't interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." So the chief cupbearer told his dream to Joseph. "In my dream, there was a vine in front of me. On the vine were 3 branches. As soon as it budded, its blossoms came out, and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. This is interpretation," Joseph said to him. "The 3 branches are 3 days. In just 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position. You will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand the way you used to when you were his cupbearer. But when all goes well for you, remember that I was with you. Please show kindness to me by mentioning me to Pharaoh and get me out of this prison." 15. "For I was kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I have done nothing that they should put me in the dungeon." When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was positive, he said to Joseph, "I also had a dream. 3 baskets of white bread were on my head. In the top basket were all sorts of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head." "This is the interpretation," Joseph replied. "The 3 baskets are 3 days. In just 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head from off of you and hang you on a tree. Then the birds will eat the flesh from your body." Well, that's not good news. 20. "On the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, he gave a feast for all his servants. He lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position as cupbearer, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, just as Joseph had explained to them. Yet the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph. He forgot him." Aww. Bwomp, womp, womp, womp. No appeal yet. Wow, a testimony though. 41. 2 years later, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing beside the Nile when 7 healthy-looking, well-fed cows came up from the Nile and began to graze among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows, sickly and thin, came up from the Nile and stood beside those cows along the bank of the Nile. The sickly, thin cows ate the healthy, well-fed cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep and dreamed a second time. 7 heads of grain, full and good, came up on one stalk. After them, 7 heads of grain, thin and scorched by the east wind, sprouted up. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 full, good ones. Then Pharaoh woke up, and it was only a dream. When morning came, he was troubled, so he summoned all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but no one could interpret them for him. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, "Today I remember my faults." Pharaoh had been angry with his servants and he put me and the chief baker in the custody of the captain of the guard. It took Pharaoh to dream so that the cupbearer would remember that Pharaoh had a dream that somebody could interpret. 2 years after, Pharaoh had been angry with his servants, and he put me and the chief baker in the custody of the captain of the guard. He and I had dreams on the same night. Each dream had its own meaning. Now, a young Hebrew, a slave of the captain of the guards, was with us there. We told him our dreams. He interpreted our dreams for us, and each had its own interpretation. 13. It turned out just the way he interpreted them to us. I was restored to my position, and the other man was hanged. Then Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and they quickly brought him from the dungeon. He shaved, changed his clothes, and went to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and no one can interpret it. But I have heard it said about you that you can hear a dream and interpret it. I am not able to, Joseph answered Pharaoh. It is God who will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. It is God who will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile when 7 well-fed, healthy-looking cows came up from the Nile and began to graze among the reeds. After them, the 7 other cows, ugly, very sickly, and thin, came up. I've never seen such ugly ones as these in all the land of Egypt. Then the thin, ugly cows that ate the first 7 well-fed cows. When they had devoured them, you could not tell that they had devoured them. Their appearance was as bad as it had been before. Then I woke up. In my dream, I had also seen 7 heads of grain, full and good, coming up on one stalk. After them, 7 heads of grain, withered, thin, and scorched by the east wind, sprouted up. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 full ones. I told this to the magicians, but no one can tell me what it means. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, Pharaoh's dreams mean the same thing. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads are 7 years. The dreams mean the same thing. The 7 thin, ugly cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 worthless, scorched heads of grain are 7 years of famine. It is just as I told Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt. After them, 7 years of famine will take place, and all the abundance in the land of Egypt will be forgotten. The famine will devastate the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered because of the famine that follows it. For the famine will be very severe. Because the dream was given twice to Pharaoh, it means that the matter has been determined by God, and he will soon carry it out. So now, let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this. Let him appoint overseers over the land and take 1/5 of the harvest of the land of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. Let them gather all the excess food during these good years that are coming. Store the grain under Pharaoh's authority as food in the cities and preserve it. The food will be a reserve for the land during the 7 years of famine that will take place in the land of Egypt. Then the country will not be wiped out by the famine. The proposal pleased The proposal pleased Pharaoh and all his servants. 38. Then Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find anyone like this, a man who has the Spirit of God in him?" So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one as intelligent and as wise as you. You will be over my house, and all my people will obey your commands. Only with regard to the throne will I be greater than you." Pharaoh also said to Joseph, "See, I am placing you over all the land of Egypt." Pharaoh removed his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, clothed him with fine linen garments, and placed a gold chain around his neck. He had Joseph ride in his second chariot, and servants called out before him, "Abrek," whatever that means. I think it means Aflac. So he placed him over all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, but without your permission, no one will be able to raise his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt." Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphenath Paneah, and gave him a wife, Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest at On. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Joseph left Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout the land of Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced outstanding harvests. Joseph gathered all the excess food in the land of Egypt during the 7 years and placed it in the cities. He placed the food in every city from the fields around it. So Joseph stored up grain in such abundance, like the sand of the sea, that he stopped measuring it because it was beyond measure. 2 sons were born to Joseph before the years of famine arrived. Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest at On, bore them to him. Joseph named the firstborn Manasseh, meaning God has made me forget all my hardship in my father's house. And the second son he named called Bert. Let's see, I think YouTube may come back on. Yeah, I'm gonna get back on there. Yeah, we're writing off my hotspot. We're writing off my hotspot on YouTube. I mean on Boost. That when I get a call on Boost, I can't turn it off because then I can't transmit in hotspot. You get it? I should be using this pen.
It's got gore today.
Yeah. Cool. So.
Gore popped on and didn't wear well.
Oh.
29.
Going back on. 3, 2, 1. Take off of a problem here in Houston because I'm writing my hotspot off of my phone. It's quite fast, but if I get a phone call, it kind of puts a little ding and a glitch in there. So we were finishing up. I know we're into the 5 minutes now. We're finishing up 41. And the second son he named Ephraim, meaning God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. 53. Then the 7 years of abundance in the land of Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. There was famine in every country, but throughout the land of Egypt there was food. Extreme hunger came to all the land of Egypt, and the people cried out to Pharaoh for food. Pharaoh told all Egypt, "Go to Joseph and do whatever he tells you." Because a famine had spread across the whole country, Joseph opened up all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians for the famine was severe in the land of Egypt. The whole world came to Joseph in Egypt to buy grain, for the famine was severe all over the earth. I think that was the first cleaning of house, on the sense of before Egypt and all of this. So, the flood. And there's been so many moments of house cleaning that the Lord has had to do that it's amazing. Pero bien, damos gracias a Dios. Terminamos en el 41 ahí y vamos a empezar del 38. El 37, ¿lo leímos o no? Porque las familias del 36 no íbamos a repasar, pero sí podemos de 37, porque sé que ayer no entramos al 36. Pero el 36 es solo de todas las propiedades y lo que se adquirió durante la explicación de lo que sería genealogía familiar. Así que vamos a 37. Vamos a terminar 41, 2, 3. No, son nombres solo. Empezamos directo al 37. Gracias, Señor, te damos por tu palabra, por el entendimiento de la magnificencia de cómo tu control ha estado en todo durante todo el tiempo, y sabiendo que el egoísmo del humano es el que ha causado el daño. Gracias te damos por tu misericordia que abunda hasta para con nosotros, y pedimos que nos enseñes a ser voz y manos, pies, extensiones tuyas, Señor, para servir. Gracias por todo en nombre de Cristo Jesús. Amén. Y estamos en vivo de nuevo con Facebook. Habitó Jacob en la tierra donde había morado su padre, en la tierra de Canaán. Esta es la historia de la familia de Jacob. José, siendo de edades de 17 años, apacentaba las ovejas con sus hermanos, y el joven estaba con los hijos de Bilha y con los hijos de Zilpa, mujeres de su padre. Informaba José a su padre la mala fama de ellos. Y amaba a Israel a José más que a todos sus hijos, porque lo había tenido en su vejez. Y le hizo una túnica de diversos colores. Y viendo sus hermanos que su padre lo amaba más que a todos sus hermanos, le aborrecían y no podían hablarle pacíficamente. Y soñó José un sueño y lo contó a sus hermanos, y ellos llegaron a aborrecerle más todavía. Y él les dijo: oíd ahora este sueño que he soñado. He aquí que atábamos manojos en medio del campo, y he aquí que en mi manojo se levantaba y estaba derecho, y que vuestros manojos estaban alrededor y se inclinaban al mío. Le respondieron sus hermanos: ¿reinarás tú a nosotros? ¿Reinarás tú sobre nosotros? ¿O señorearás sobre nosotros? Y le aborrecieron aún más a causa de sus sueños y sus palabras. Soñó aún otro sueño y lo contó a sus hermanos, diciendo: he aquí que he soñado otro sueño, y he aquí que el sol y la luna y 11 estrellas se inclinaban a mí. Y lo contó a su padre y a sus hermanos, y su padre le reprendió y le dijo: ¿qué sueño es este que soñaste? ¿Acaso vendremos yo y tu madre y tus hermanos a postrarnos en tierra ante ti? Grayson. Y sus hermanos le tenían envidia, mas su padre meditaba en esto. Después fueron sus hermanos a apacentar las ovejas de su padre en Siquem,
Y dijo Israel a José: tus hermanos apacientan las ovejas en Siquem. Ven, y te enviaré a ellos. Y él respondió: heme aquí. E Israel le dijo: ve ahora, mira cómo aún están tus hermanos y cómo están las ovejas, y tráeme la respuesta. Y lo envió del valle de Hebrón, y llegó a Siquem, y lo halló un hombre andando, él errante por el campo, y le preguntó a aquel hombre, diciendo: ¿qué buscas? José respondió: busco a mis hermanos, te ruego que me muestres dónde están apacentando. Aquel hombre respondió: ya se han ido de aquí, y yo les oí decir: vamos a Dotán. Entonces José fue tras de sus hermanos y los halló en Dotán. Cuando ellos lo vieron de lejos, antes que llegara cerca de ellos, conspiraron contra él para matarle. Y dijeron el uno al otro: he aquí viene el soñador. Ahora pues, venid y matémosle y echémosle en una cisterna, y diremos: alguna mala bestia lo devoró, y veremos qué será de sus sueños. Cuando Rubén oyó esto, lo libró de sus manos y dijo: no lo matemos. Y les dijo Rubén: no derraméis sangre, echadlo en esta cisterna que está en el desierto, y no pongáis mano en él, por librarlo así de sus hermanos, para hacerlo volver a su padre. Sucedió pues que cuando llegó José a sus hermanos, ellos quitaron a José su túnica, la túnica de colores que tenía sobre sí, y le tomaron y le echaron en la cisterna, pero la cisterna estaba vacía, no había en ella agua, y se sentaron a comer pan, y alzando los ojos miraron, y he aquí una compañía de ismaelitas que venía de Galaad, y sus camellos traían aromas, bálsamo y mirra, e iban a llevarlo a Egipto. Entonces Judá dijo a sus hermanos: ¿qué provecho hay en que matemos a nuestro hermano y encubramos su muerte? Venid y vendámosle a los ismaelitas, y no sea nuestra mano sobre él, porque él es nuestro hermano, nuestra propia carne. Y sus hermanos convinieron con él. Y cuando pasaban los madianitas, mercaderes, sacaron ellos a José de la cisterna y le trajeron arriba y le vendieron a los ismaelitas por 20 piezas de plata, y llevaron a José a Egipto. Después Rubén volvió a la cisterna y no halló a José dentro, y rasgó sus vestidos y volvió a sus hermanos y dijo: el joven no aparece, y yo, ¿a dónde iré yo? Entonces tomaron ellos la túnica de José y degollaron un cabrito de las cabras y tiñeron la túnica con la sangre, y enviaron la túnica de colores y la trajeron a su padre y dijeron: esto hemos hallado. Reconoce ahora si es la túnica de tu hijo o no. Y él la reconoció y dijo: la túnica de mi hijo es. Alguna bestia mala lo devoró. José ha sido despedazado. Entonces Jacob rasgó sus vestidos y puso juicio sobre sus lomos y guardó luto por su hijo por muchos días. Y se levantaron todos sus hijos y todas sus hijas para consolarlo, mas él no quiso recibir consuelo y dijo: descenderé enlutado a mi hijo hasta el Seol. Y lo lloró su padre, y los madianitas lo vendieron en Egipto a Potifar, oficial de Faraón, capitán de la guardia. 38. Aconteció en aquel tiempo que Judá se apartó de sus hermanos y se fue a un varón adulamita que se llamaba Ira. 2. Y vio ahí Judá, la hija de un hombre cananeo, el cual se llamaba Sua, y la tomó y se llegó a ella. Y ella concibió y dio a luz un hijo, y llamó su nombre Concibió otra vez y dio a luz un hijo, y llamó su nombre Onán. Y volvió a concebir y dio a luz un hijo, y llamó su nombre Selah. Y estaba en Kesib cuando lo dio a luz. Después Judá tomó mujer para su primogénito la cual se llamaba Tamar. Y el primogénito de Judá, fue malo ante los ojos de Jehová, y le quitó Jehová la vida. Entonces Judá dijo a Onán: llégate a la mujer de tu hermano, y despósate con ella, y levanta descendencia a tu hermano. Y sabiendo Onán que la descendencia no había de ser suya, sucedía que cuando se llegaba a la mujer de su hermana, vertía en la tierra por no dar descendencia a su hermano. Wow. Y desagradó en los ojos de Jehová lo que hacía, y él también le quitó la vida. Y Judá dijo a Tamar, su nuera: quédate viuda en casa de tu padre, hasta que crezca Selah, mi hijo. Porque dijo: no sea que muera él también, como sus hermanos. Y se fue Tamar, y estuvo en casa de su padre. Pasaron muchos días, y murió la hija de Sua, mujer de Judá. Después Judá se consoló, y subía a los trasquiladores de sus ovejas a Timnat, él y su amigo Irá, el adulamita. Y fue dado aviso a Tamar, diciendo: he aquí, tu suegro sube a Timnat a trasquilar sus ovejas. Entonces se quitó ella los vestidos de su viudez, y se cubrió con un velo, y se arrebozó, y se puso a la entrada de Enaim, junto al camino de Timnat, porque veía que él había crecido Selah, y ella no era dada a él por mujer. Y la vio Judá, y la tuvo por ramera, porque ella había cubierto su rostro, y se apartó del camino hacia ella, y le dijo: déjame ahora llegarme a ti, pues no sabía que era su nuera. Y ella dijo: ¿qué me darás por llegarte a mí? Él respondió: yo te enviaré del ganado un cabrito de las cabras. Y ella dijo: dame una prenda hasta que lo envíes. Entonces Judá dijo: ¿qué prenda te daré? Ella respondió: tu sello, tu cordón y tu báculo que tienes en tu mano. Y él se los dio. She needs her bowl turn. Y se llegó a ella, y ella concibió de él. Luego se levantó y se fue y se quitó el velo de sobre sí, y se vistió las ropas de su viudez. Y Judá envió el cabrito de las cabras por medio de su amigo, el adulamita, para que éste recibiese la prenda de la mujer, pero no la halló. Y preguntó a los hombres de aquel lugar, diciendo: ¿dónde está la ramera de Enaim junto al camino? Y ellos le dijeron: ¿no ha estado aquí ramera alguna? Entonces él se volvió a Judá y dijo, no la he hallado. Y también los hombres del lugar dijeron, aquí no ha estado ramera. Y Judá dijo, tómeselo para sí, para que no seamos menospreciados. He aquí, yo he enviado este cabrito, y tú no lo hallaste. Sucedió que al cabo de unos 3 meses fue dado aviso a Judá, diciendo, Tamar, tu nuera, ha fornicado y ciertamente está encinta a causa de las fornicaciones. Y Judá dijo, sacadla y sea quemada. Pero ella, cuando la sacaban, envió a decir a su suegro, del varón cuyas son estas cosas, estoy encinta. También dijo, mira, ahora de quién son estas cosas, el sello, el cordón y el báculo. Entonces Judá los reconoció y dijo, más justa es ella que yo, por cuanto no la he dado a Selá, mi hijo, y nunca más la conoció. Y aconteció que al tiempo de dar a luz, he aquí había gemelos en su seno. Sucedió cuando daba a luz que sacó la mano el uno, y la partera tomó y ató a su mano un hilo de grana, diciendo, este salió primero, pero volviendo a él a meter la mano, he aquí salió su hermano, y ella dijo, ¿qué brecha le has abierto? Y llamó su nombre Fares. Después salió su hermano, el que tenía en su mano el hilo de grana, y llamó su nombre Zara. 39. Llevado pues José a Egipto, Potifar, oficial de Faraón, capitán de la guardia, varón egipcio, lo compró de los ismaelitas que lo habían llevado allá. Mas Jehová estaba con José, y fue varón próspero, y estaba en la casa de su amo el egipcio, y vio su amo que Jehová estaba con él, y que todo lo que él hacía, Jehová lo hacía prosperar en su mano. Hacía yo, José, gracia en sus ojos, y le servía, y él le hizo mayordomo de su casa, y entregó en su poder todo lo que tenía. Y aconteció que desde cuando le dio el encargo de su casa y de todo lo que tenía, Jehová bendijo la casa del egipcio a causa de José. Y la bendición de Jehová estaba sobre todo lo que él tenía, así en casa como en el campo, y dejó todo lo que tenía en mano de José. Y con él no se preocupaba de cosa alguna, sino del pan que comía. Y era José de hermoso semblante y bella presencia. Aconteció después de esto, que la mujer de su amo puso sus ojos en José y dijo, duerme conmigo. Y él no quiso, y dijo a la mujer de su amo, he aquí que mi señor no se preocupa conmigo de lo que hay en casa, y ha puesto en mi mano todo lo que tiene. No hay otro mayor que yo en esta casa, y ninguna cosa me ha reservado sino a ti. Por cuanto tú eres su mujer, ¿cómo pues haría yo este grande mal y pecaría contra Dios? Hablando ella a José cada día y no escuchándola él para acostarse al lado de ella, para estar con ella. 11. Aconteció que entró él un día en casa para hacer su oficio, y no había nadie de los que de casa ahí, de la casa ahí. Y ella lo asió por su ropa, diciendo, duerme conmigo. Entonces él dejó su ropa en las manos de ella y huyó y salió. Cuando vio ella que le había dejado su ropa en sus manos y había huido fuera, llamó a los dos de casa. Llamó a los de casa y les habló diciendo: mirad, nos ha traído un hebreo para que hiciese burla de nosotros. Vino él a mí para dormir conmigo y yo di grandes voces. Y viendo que yo alzaba la voz y gritaba, dejó junto a mí su ropa y huyó y salió. Y ella puso junto a sí la ropa de José hasta que vino su señor a su casa. 17. Entonces le habló ella las mismas palabras diciendo: el siervo hebreo que nos trajiste vino a mí para deshonrarme, y cuando yo alcé mi voz y grité, él dejó su ropa junto a mí y huyó fuera. Y sucedió que cuando oyó el amo de José las palabras que su mujer le hablaba, diciendo: así me ha tratado tu siervo, se encendió su furor. Y tomó su amo a José y lo puso en la cárcel donde estaban los presos del rey. Y estuvo ahí en la cárcel. Pero Jehová estaba con José y le extendió su misericordia y le dio gracia en los ojos del jefe de la cárcel. Y el jefe de la cárcel entregó en mano de José el cuidado de todos los presos que había en aquella prisión. Todo lo que se hacía ahí, él lo hacía. No necesitaba atender el jefe de la cárcel cosa alguna de las que estaban al cuidado de José, porque Jehová estaba con José y lo que él hacía, Jehová lo prosperaba. Aconteció después de estas cosas que el copero del rey de Egipto y el panadero delinquieron contra su señor, el rey de Egipto. Y se enojó Faraón contra sus dos oficiales, contra el jefe de los coperos y contra el jefe de los panaderos. Y los puso en prisión en la casa de capitán de la guardia, en la cárcel donde José estaba preso. Y el capitán de la guardia encargó de ellos a José, y él les servía, y estuvieron días en la prisión. 5. Y ambos, el copero y el panadero del rey de Egipto, que estaban arrastrados en la prisión, tuvieron un sueño, cada uno su propio sueño, en una misma noche, cada uno con su propio significado. Vino a ellos José por la mañana y los miró, y he aquí que estaban tristes, porque eran 3 tristes tigres. Y él preguntó a aquellos oficiales de Faraón que estaban con él en la prisión de la casa de su señor, diciendo: ¿por qué perecen hoy mal vuestros semblantes? Ellos le dijeron: hemos tenido un sueño y no hay quien lo interprete. Entonces les dijo José: ¿no son de Dios las interpretaciones? Contádmelo ahora. Entonces el jefe de los coperos contó su sueño a José y le dijo: yo soñaba que veía una vid delante de mí, y en la vid 3 sarmientos, y ella como que brotaba y arrojaba su flor, viniendo a madurar sus racimos de uvas, y que la copa de Faraón estaba en mi mano, y yo tomaba las uvas y las exprimía en la copa de Faraón, y daba yo la copa en mano de Faraón. Y le dijo José: esta es su interpretación. Los tres sarmientos son 3 días. Al cabo de 3 días levantará Faraón tu cabeza y te restituirá a tu puesto, y darás la copa a Faraón en su mano, como solías hacerlo cuando eras su copero. Acuérdate pues de mí cuando tengas ese bien, y te ruego que uses conmigo de misericordia y hagas mención de mí a Faraón y me saques de esta casa, porque fui hurtado de la tierra de los hebreos y tampoco he hecho aquí y tampoco he hecho aquí porque me pusiesen en la cárcel. Viendo el jefe de los panaderos que había interpretado para bien, dijo a José: también yo soñé que veía 3 canastillos blancos sobre mi cabeza. En el canastillo más alto había de toda clase de manjares de pastelería para Faraón, y las aves las comían del canastillo de sobre mi cabeza. Entonces respondió José y dijo: esta es tu interpretación. Los 3 canastillos 3 días son. Al cabo de 3 días quitará Faraón tu cabeza de sobre ti y te hará colgar en la horca, y las aves comerán tu carne de sobre ti. Al tercer día, que era el día del cumpleaños de Faraón, el rey hizo banquete a todos sus sirvientes y alzó la cabeza del jefe de los coperos y la cabeza del jefe de los panaderos entre sus servidores. E hizo volver a su oficio al jefe de los coperos y dio la copa en mano de Faraón. Mas hizo ahorcar al jefe de los panaderos como lo había interpretado José. Y el jefe de los coperos no se acordó de José, sino que le olvidó. Aconteció que pasados 2 años tuvo Faraón un sueño. 2 años pareció. Pero vamos a dejarlo ahí. Continuamos con 41 para mañana. Bendiciones. Life on stage. Jesus is Lord. Awesome. Out. Tengamos hambre de su palabra, que es la que hace la diferencia. Blessings to you. Jesus is Lord. How strange. It's all strange.